Greetings, fellow mortals. Harley Quinn is an odd character for me. I remember watching her original version when I was a kid. Unlike most DC characters, her first appearance was in the Batman animated series. I remember my dad walking by during Saturday morning cartoons. He watched the show for a few minutes and then asked who Harley Quinn was. I explained that she was a doctor that the Joker drove insane. My dad paused and wondered if he had ever seen her before that instant. While not the biggest fan of comic books, my dad did know many of the characters. I think that he liked the old, corny live action shows the best. It was only later that I understood why he was so confused. Harley Quinn was a character made specifically for the animated show. She had no history before then. My dad didn't know her because she didn't exist before the show. I remember it so clearly because I found it odd that I knew something that my dad didn't. Of course, he probably doesn't remember much about that, but I do. It's one of the reasons why I always felt so attached to Harley Quinn. She felt special. She was a Batman villain that I knew better than my dad did. But something always felt off about her to me as a kid. She wasn't exactly a scary villain. Batman didn't view her as a threat. Instead, she kind of just made me sad. When I got older and revisited the animated series, I figured out why I felt that way. Harley Quinn wasn't a villain in the animated series. She was the Joker's greatest victim. She had her career, her personality, and her mind stripped away from her by the Joker. He turned her into a toy that he got bored with on a regular basis. Looking back now, the amount of domestic abuse shown in a children's cartoon is shocking. There's no question that Joker emotionally and verbally abused Harley Quinn in almost every single one of her appearances. The creators even showed him hitting her. It shocked me so much that my jaw dropped. I definitely didn't remember that. But there were a lot of things that I didn't remember, like how Harley always went crawling back to her puddin', how she always thought that things would get better, how she defended the Joker moments after he treated her like garbage, how kindly Batman treated her in comparison to even his other female villains, because he never saw evil when he looked at Harley Quinn, he saw a tragedy. In that original version, I think that the Joker would have killed her if she ever completely broke away from him. She was just property to him. He would rather destroy a toy than let someone else play with it. It was a story that was destined to end in pain for Harleen Quinzel. That version of her stuck in my head for the longest time. It's how I defined her. That view didn't change when I eventually started to play the Batman Arkham games. Harley Quinn was exactly how I remembered. Of course, I didn't understand the sexualization of her when I originally watched the animated series, but it sure stood out in the games. It wasn't subtle at all, but I thought that it fit because that's what Joker saw her as. Of course, it's also because sex sells, I can't underplay that part of it. And this is the point where my wife would come in and tease me by saying that I only like Harley Quinn because of her sex appeal. Even without her by my side, I can hear my wife mocking me about how I probably loved to look at Harley Quinn when I was younger. Thanks, babe. I appreciate that you've trained my brain to hear your teasing. Anyway, Harley Quinn didn't change too much in the Suicide Squad movie, the 2016 one. Although that movie did suck, I did think that Margot Robbie did a good job bringing Harley Quinn to life, at least outside of her interactions with the Joker. Oh yeah, I bet you're rolling your eyes at the Jared Leto Joker. I don't blame you, it wasn't good, but the part that I hated the most about this version was the relationship between Joker and Harley. It was romanticized. I felt flabbergasted. This was an abusive relationship. Joker destroyed this woman. He beat her, mocked her, and used her in every way imaginable. Why would anyone portray this as anything other than disgusting? It was the first time that I thought that Harley Quinn's writing was starting to fall apart. Of course, Harley shouldn't always be tragic, but she should be whenever she's around the Joker. He's her kryptonite. All of her confidence, competence, personality, and autonomy crumble while she's around her abuser. And when Harley's around the Joker, she's a whipped dog. That's why she should stand out so much when she's away from him. Yes, she should be wacky, violent, and random. Her mind is shattered after all. But there's something that the writers seem to forget. Harleen Quinzel is a doctor. She has her PhD in psychology. Some versions, like the Batman cartoon, play this off as a joke, but I think that Harley is better if she's heavily qualified. In fact, I think that she should be portrayed as a genius in psychology that should rival Hugo Strange. Around the Joker, she loses all of her intelligence. He's beaten her so badly that she acts like an idiot because that's what he wants. Her individuality is non existent. That's why she could never figure out who Batman was while with the Joker, but away from the Joker, she could figure it out, but Batman's identity doesn't matter to her. That's part of the reason that I don't really like the new Harley Quinn cartoon or the new comic books. It feels like her relationship with Joker is treated just like a bad breakup. The writers don't take everything into account. Instead, they just have her act like a crazed weirdo. They act like her romantic relationship with Poison Ivy wouldn't be abusive as well. After all, Poison Ivy would kill Harley Quinn in an instant to save a houseplant. But Pamela Isley is a character for another day and another video. Perhaps I'm just complaining a bit too much here, but wouldn't it be amazing if Harley Quinn was more than the whoa, so random girl? I get that younger girls love her, and that's great. I think that it's all the more reason to show her being an intelligent doctor, though. Why not have her be more in these Suicide Squad movies, or in the cartoon, or in the comic books? Don't you think that a genius psychologist with experience in the criminal world would be more useful to Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad than the unpredictable wild card? One moment, Harley could be acting goofy. She could be juggling grapes and trying to eat them out of the air. The next moment, she could be breaking down every aspect of Peacemaker's personality like she can see into his very soul. And all of this is not to say that she can't have relationships with other people. She could be friendly with the other villains. She could be bisexual and have relationships with women other than Poison Ivy. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure that the eco-terrorists would eventually use Harley as mulch. But every time Harley is about to find happiness or break out of her shell or get her mind back, the Joker gets bored. He decides to play with his old toy. He kills Harley Quinn's romantic partners, drags her back, and breaks her all over again. I don't know, maybe I'm holding on to the original tragedy of Harley Quinn a little too hard. Maybe it's a good thing that she's outgrown the Joker to be something unique. I do believe in empowerment and for leading female characters to have their own stories. It just feels as though the writers are dancing around the issue of the Joker instead of tackling it. Either completely separate Harley from the Joker and have her grow into her own person, or have her be his most tragic victim, because this middle ground feels odd. It feels like the writers view her as merchandise in a brand rather than an actual character. And I don't think that's fair to her. It might sound weird considering that this is a fictional character, but I am fond of Harley Quinn, and she's actually a newer character that's popular. The only comic book character as recent as her that has anywhere close to the momentum would be Miles Morales, and he's still stuck having the same name as Peter Parker. Please, someone, change one of their names. Like I previously said, it could be Peter for all I care, but it's not fair to either character to have them be stuck with the same name like this. All of the other new characters failed to connect like Harley did because she felt real. She felt awkward to watch. She felt like we were watching a tragedy in motion. None of the other new characters from DC or Marvel connect with people because they feel fake, phoned in, and sometimes lazy. The writers poured their souls into Harley Quinn during the original animated series run. Now she's become generic comedy, and I think that's a big demotion. Not that comedy is a bad thing, but it feels like white bread with random humor. I don't like the wit in her level of comedy right now. Of course, Harley isn't the only Batman villain that I think that the newer writers don't really understand. Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Joker, Two-Face. Okay, Riddler was good in the Batman, I'll give them that. That was a good modern interpretation. But it feels like a lot of these comic book villains are being looked down upon. The reason Batman's rogue gallery is so memorable is that they're all so tragic and are reflections of Batman as a character. Of course, people don't really seem to understand Batman anymore, so maybe I'm just off base in this video. But what do you think? Do you view Harley Quinn as a tragic character? Do you think that they should show more of her intelligence? Do you like the way that she is now? Do you want to insult me and call me horrible names? Please leave a comment down below. I really want to hear your opinions. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Also, please remember that I'll be self-publishing my novel, Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.